I know there's a lot of little kiddies out there and some big kids that don't love fish as much as maybe they should, but I'm going to show you a fantastic version of my fish fingers and disguise the fish just a little bit to make it a little bit more fun. The first step is preparing our pastry. Now I'm using thick phyllo pastry here, so I don't need to do many layers. I actually just need one layer per piece of fish. Essentially what we're making here are like fish spring rolls, so they're really easy to do, and I'm not going to mince the fish. I'm actually going to leave the fish whole. So let's fold out our phyllo. And it can dry out, so always have a little tea towel prepared that's a little bit moist. We'll get our first layer of phyllo out, and we'll just put one to the side here, and you can see that it's just slightly thicker. It's still thin, but it's just like a double layer. So damp tea towel on top of our other phyllo while we work with one sheet at a time, and a little bit of butter, so melted butter here, and we're going to just brush it all over. I like to use a big paintbrush because you can see less strokes and it gets over the pastry nice and evenly. And now I need to make a coating. I'm using almond meal, but if you like, you could use breadcrumbs for this. This is a really important stage because when fish cooks, it does release a little bit of moisture, and I don't want it to make my phyllo pastry soggy. So we're going to coat it in a little bit of this breadcrumb. I'm going to add a little bit of lemon zest for some flavour. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit of Parmesan cheese there too, and that'll help the fish stick to the phyllo. Also, a pinch of salt, and we'll just give that a really nice toss. Now let's talk fish. I've got some flathead fillets here. You could use any white fillet. You could use some ling is fantastic, some rock ling. I like these little flathead fillets because you can see that my fishmonger has just taken the bones out here, so no bones at all, and it's really mild in flavour. So let's cut that in half. And I'm going to cut it in half again, and we want about 5 to 6 centimetre pieces. Essentially, I want to get 4 fish fingers out of this one piece of phyllo pastry. So that goes straight into our almond mix there. So just coat it nicely, press it down, and then that goes on the bottom end of our piece of phyllo there. So let's do a few more, coating that, and you can see I'm doubling up in the pieces here, so we want a good substantial fish finger here, and we'll put one more there. Just try to make them all even because you do want them to cook at the same time. So that's 3, and then the 4th one. Now these ones are quite small, bite size, but if you wanted to make bigger ones, of course you could do that too. Now we're going to get our knife. This is just really easy. We're going to cut straight down the phyllo between each piece of fish, and then we need to wrap it up just like we're wrapping a spring roll. So a few rolls, tuck in the sides, and with phyllo I always say when it's a little bit rough, it is actually better because it gives you those crunchy sides. See, that disguises the fish, so the kiddies are definitely going to love this. Now of course we need a little bit more butter on there so they do go golden brown, and I like to finish it off with a little bit of sesame seed for some crunch. Not essential, but I think it looks great too. So just a sprinkling on top, and then a little bit of Glad Bake onto a baking tray just to make sure that they don't stick. And these are going to go in a preheated oven for about 10 to 12 minutes, and then they're ready. My fish fingers smell perfect, and I've just had a look at them and they are perfectly golden brown too, so they can come out. Oh, yum. Look at that. 12 to 15 minutes is the perfect amount of time for these to be in the oven. You can see they're golden brown, super crispy, and the fish won't be overcooked. You don't want it to be too overcooked because it will be dry. Okay, so while they just sit there for a little bit because they are piping hot, let's do a little sauce to go with it. I'm using some sour cream. I love this combination, sour cream and sweet chili sauce. The sweet chili sauce is not spicy at all, so the kids will love it. It's actually more sweet than anything. So I'll add a good amount of that in there, probably about even amounts. Wonderful. And sounds really strange, but it does work. A little bit of dill. Now you can change this up if you don't like dill because it is quite strong. You can use a little bit of parsley, and I'm going to finely chop that. I want about a teaspoon of finely chopped dill, and I love the look of it in there, and we just want to mix it up just roughly. It doesn't have to be perfectly mixed up. I like it kind of a little bit rough there, and a squeeze of lemon, just a small amount of lemon in there. And that's just going to thin out the sauce too. So one last mix, and we'll put that into a bowl here. This is almost like a great substitute for something different to the classic tartare sauce. All right, that is ready to go. We'll take some of our crunchy fish fingers here and we'll just pile them up. This is really great if you want to entertain. Or, like I said, if the kiddies don't like fish, a great way to disguise it, and they're going to love it with that sour cream dipping sauce. I'm going to dig into one because I can't help myself. Listen to that crunchiness, and look at that. Perfectly cooked fish. It's still moist and the bottom's still crunchy, and that's because we use that almond meal there. I'm going to dip it into the sauce. That is just stunning. Brilliant way to serve fish.